will bow to my will! Hail my will!
Alright folks, let's get ourselves a Mew in Pokemon Generation 1. So, what we're going to need first off is a Game Boy Advance emulator. You can use Visual Boy Advance, but for this one, I would prefer using mGBA. Both are capable of doing the glitch no problem, but we'll get into why we use mGBA much later. And the only other thing you'll need is a ROM of Pokemon Generation 1. For this tutorial, I will be using Pokemon Blue. Now, I'm also going to point out that I'm not going to go into the hyper-technicals of what's actually going on, as YouTuber Mr. Rex has made a basic template of how to catch Mew in Pokemon Red and Blue, and YouTuber Scrumpy has gone over the Mew glitch in depth. The videos and channels will be posted in the description and as YouTube cards above. So for the most part, I'll be giving a layman's explanation of what to do, discuss a few more avenues, versions to do it in, and troubleshooting, as well as trading your Mew via emulator to Generation 2. Now, to first start off, we're going to have to find a trainer that's just off screen, so that when we walk into his sight range, his character sprite will load and give us a chance to hit the start menu without him challenging us yet. This does not work on trainers within your sight range already. The most obvious pick is the male junior trainer in the grassy area of Route 24. The reason for this is because the grassy area is home to one of the first fast travel Pokemon you can get, Abra. Once we open the start menu with the trainer in range, we're going to go to Pokemon, and then choose Abra's teleport command. The junior trainer will notice us, but before he challenges us to a match, Abra's teleport will take priority. It is also worth noting that other fast travel methods, such as fly or dig, are also capable of working when used in the appropriate location. They just typically aren't used as often, due to a much later in-game availability compared to teleport, disregarding trading, of course. Once we're back at Cerulean City, we're going to hoof it all the way to Route 25, and we're going to look for this specific youngster right here. The reason we gotta fight this youngster in the first place is because of his Slowpoke. I won't go into too much detail as to why it's a Slowpoke, just know that the last Pokemon that you're fighting against a trainer specifically needs to have a special stat of 21. And as it turns out, this shelter, owned by this swimmer, located in the Cerulean City Gym, is also capable of triggering Mew for the event. It is critically important that you give this kid at least 1 unit of space to walk when he notices you. If any trainer challenges you while adjacent at this point in time, that trainer will softlock you. Once we've defeated said trainer's Pokemon, we can now return to the place that we initially fast traveled from. For instance, if we teleported from this junior trainer, like in the blue example, we'll simply return to Route 24. If we flew from this gambler, like in the green example, we will return back to Route 8. And if we dug away from this last, like in the red example, we'll just return to the rock tunnel. Assuming you did everything correctly up until this point, your start menu should automatically pop up. Do not worry, you are not softlocked. This is part of the exploit. Just press B. And there you go, it's Mew. Now, Mew can be a bit of a handful to catch. Despite being only level 7, this Mew can still have a ridiculous catch rate. You better be prepared to have some status moves, plenty of Pokeballs, and or just a lot of luck on your side. Trust me, you're gonna need it. But if you manage to do it, you've caught yourself a Mew. No strings attached, no soft locking, no glitch data. This is probably one of the safest Gen 1 glitches, provided you do everything right. And on that note, I'd like to show off another possible softlock scenario that can happen around this point. When I talked to this Nurse Joy at the Pokemon Center of Lavender Town and tried to activate the Mew glitch, I ended up with a battle from a super nerd. Once the battle was finished, I was softlocked, unable to move or pause my game. This is why tutorials often advise not to talk to people while attempting to do the glitch, because if you don't get the start menu pop up, the game might instead take a script from another trainer that's around this area, and it appears what they say is dependent on whether or not you've defeated them. So for example, talking with this bike shop owner got me a quote from the rocket on the Nugget Bridge. Talking with this old gentleman got me a quote from the first youngster, also on the Nugget Bridge. Losing the Slowpoke youngsters fight, ironically enough, got me a fight with the junior trainer hanging around the grass that we teleported from earlier, though oddly enough I was not softlocked. And would you like to know what the script says if one of your Pokemon faints out of battle due to poison?
He just repeated the last word the player said.
Fainted!
And while the glitch is mostly intended for Mew, Mew is not the only Pokemon you can get from it. I won't go into detail about who gets what, but let me just say, if you'd fight some of the trainers around here, you might get yourself a Lapras, a Nidoqueen, or even a Scyther, if you're willing to look around. Try it out for yourself, it's fun. Now, as a little bit of a bonus, I'm also going to cover trading in Generation 1 and Generation 2, because trading in Gen 1 and Gen 2 is a lot more finicky in Visual Boy Advance, but what I have found is that mGBA is pretty good at trading across Gen 1, Gen 2, and the Game Boy in general. It usually does not have any errors compared to Visual Boy Advance, which doesn't handle Game Boy as well. So, we're gonna start off with Pokemon Crystal. And what we're gonna do here is open a new multiplayer window. There we are, there's our player 2. The nice thing about mGBA is that linking up is a cinch. And we're gonna load our blue version. But before we do that, we have to convert our save file to a player 2 specific save file. Alright, so as you see here, we have all our Game Boy files, our save state files, our save game files, our save state files for both Visual Boy and mGBA. And we have our save file over here, and we have our Sonic Adventure 2 file over here that we just created. So, we will first get rid of that. Make a copy of our SAV file. Rename our extension to .sa2 as opposed to .sav. Hit yes to ignore the warning. And yeah, it should be usable. It is pretty much the same file. And let's reload our Pokemon Blue. Our save data should be recognized for player 2. And it's got to continue, so that's a good sign. There's Blue. And there we are. I've preset myself already to the Pokemon Center, and there's Mew right there. Now, this is where things can get a little bit tricky to connect, so it'll take me a couple of attempts. I think it is preferable to start with Crystal version because Blue version has a little bit harder time connecting, because as you can see, you only get like 2 seconds. So let's connect via Crystal, and sorry about that, had to go talk to Bill and wait 24 hours. That's a thing. Now, despite mGBA having better connectability compared to Visual Boy Advance, it still isn't really perfect. I'm not sure if it was this bad on the original hardware, but connections can be a little bit tough to get on the first try at least. And while connections are automatic on mGBA, it still took me about 2.5 to 3 minutes to actually connect. The connection actually failed right here, and so I had to do a second attempt, which thankfully worked. Okay? It's very picky. It's so very picky. So we'll trade our Mew for this Eevee. And then, Cool! There's the Eevee. Oh man, Mew's really cute looking in Crystal version. It's really pretty colors. Well, there you go. Mew is in Gen 2. So if it fails the first time, it'll usually succeed in a second attempt. But let's see if it actually, let's see if everything actually saved correctly. Yep, there's Mew right there. How's Blue looking? That is definitely Eevee. So we have successfully traded. And there you go, everybody. This is the full the fullest of the fullest about obtaining a Mew and then trading it over to Gen 2. Alright, I've been Vince. Later, everybody. Also, in case you were wondering, no, this glitch does not work in Generation 2.
Darn.